Welcome to the Mile High Podcast. This is your host, Dr. Daniel Knowles. Thank you for joining us from wherever you are joining us from, wherever you're listening. And I'm coming from 5,280 feet, mile high altitude, where you will be in September. We look forward to seeing you. This year, we're focused on the art and everything as we focus on the art of chiropractic, and everything in the podcast is focused on the art of chiropractic leading up. And I am super stoked to be able to introduce to you on this podcast, who will also be speaking at Mile High, the one and only Steve Judson, who almost at this point needs no introduction in chiropractic. I have tremendous respect, honor, and love, much love for him and his voice in chiropractic and what he shares through Dynamic Essentials and so many other things, his new book as well. And so thank you for joining us today, Dr. Steve.
Hey, pal, it's good to be here, man. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Well, we're grateful to have you here. Hey, to start out real quick, some people, believe it or not, don't know you.
Blame them.
Can you share a little bit about how you found your way into the chiropractic world?
Yeah, I'm one of those funny stories, man. You know, my dream was to be a professional baseball player, got hurt. That dream went out the window real fast. And my mom was working part-time for a chiropractor, said, hey, you should be a chiropractor. And I said, well, I'm not smart enough for that. But she planted a seed. And then years later, as innate would have it, I decided to become a chiropractor. I interviewed a bunch of guys, and I figured this was a good kind of lifestyle for me. I'd never been adjusted. Went down to Life College, met Dr. Sid, and that was it.
Very cool. Around what time was that? What year? How long ago did you go to chiropractic school?
So I graduated in '98. So you know, it was, man, when I was in college, it wasn't till the end of my junior year. I was an English major. That I had a whole bunch of different ideas, everything from wanting to be a lawyer to IBM was going to hire me to be a motivational speaker. And I literally had 2 classes to finish my major, and I decided chiropractic. And that was back in 91, 92. And so I had to go take a bunch of extra classes, you know, all those prerequisites. And I went to Georgia. Someone just asked me the other day, how did you end up at Life? I was up in New York. I wanted to get out of the cold. So I said, let me go to this school in Georgia. And, you know, as the universe would have it, the first person I met on campus outside of Dr. Sid was a guy who invited me to DE. And I was very fortunate just to dive into the principal from day one.
You know, this is so funny. We've never had this conversation to my recollection, but this is a very parallel line. We're very similar vintage here. I was in New York in 92, last semester of undergrad, and then going, you know, all different possible things. I said, you know what, I'm going to be a chiropractor, and then had to do all the prereqs just about that same time, 92. So then it took me to into 93 to get into Sherman College. So, and graduated in 96. So we were right around the same time in the same haunt. So that's kind of funny. I never realized that.
Oh, that's cool, bro. That's cool.
Yeah. That's kind of cool. So now when you think philosophy, science, and art, what do you think comes first, or what's most important?
Philosophy.
And why do you say that? And I agree with you. And why do you say that?
Well, I guess it's you could get more specific with the question. You know, when my hands are on a patient, what's more important at that moment? It's the art. What am I delivering? But if you're asking about, you know, what we're teaching our patients and what, in order for a chiropractor to be successful as I define it, you got to own the philosophy. And the reason why is because if you don't have a why and an understanding of why we're doing something and what makes chiropractic so separate and distinct from any healthcare profession in the world, you know, then you're a ship at sea with no direction.
Very true. Very true. And we see a lot of that, sadly, of the profession as a whole, unfortunately,
Right.
which is, I know, part of why your purpose and many things that you do and mine as well. So Dynamic Essentials, what was it like walking into around Dynamic Essentials around that time, 94 to 98, that time period?
Well, my first experience at DE, and people have helped me tell this story. I was coming out of living in the Bronx, and I was a bouncer and a bartender in a pretty rough bar at the time. And now I ended up going to this conference where you got grown men hugging each other, and I wasn't used to that. And the music and people excited. There was a couple thousand people in the room. I thought they were a bunch of Fruit Loops, and I walked out of there, literally 4 or 5 times, and I was heading to the escalator, and some universal force pulled me into the bathroom, and I would pretend I'm going to the bathroom, and I'd walk back in because for what I know today, I needed to be in that room. So I could really resonate, and I tell newbies all the time that it's a different vibration, it's a different edge, it's a different connection that you're going to get there. But me walking in that room, the greatest thing I ever did was walk out and walk back in and stay there. And I haven't left in over 20 years. And by the grace of God, that's changed my entire life.
I got to say, this is getting more and more eerie. I didn't know you grew up in the Bronx. I grew up in the Bronx.
Yeah, I lived there.
What bar was it? Because I might have been there.
Yeah, remember Strider's on North Avenue?
Yeah.
It was paddy wagons Friday and Saturday night out front, and I was the guy throwing people into them.
Well, I'll tell you, I grew up in the Bronx, and I first went into the chiropractic world was going to network programs. You want to talk about people hugging each other and thinking it's a bunch of Fruit Loops? That's what I thought. Right. I was like, what is this?
It's different, man. It's different. It's different.
So very funny. So then when you think about what were some of the people that you heard at that point that like blew your mind?
I can't tell you really anyone I heard up before this one man got up and spoke, and it was Michael Kale. There was a bunch of people. I could probably throw names out there, but I think a lot of it was a blur because I had my own emotional stigma going on in my brain during the whole time.
Right.
And it wasn't until Kale got up there and spoke. That was it. It rocked my world. And this was the reason why I'm here. This is why God wants me to be a chiropractor, and I never looked back.
Wow. That's pretty wild. And then, so tell us, now you're very involved with Dynamic Essentials. Let's have more people know about Dynamic Essentials and get there. What's like DE like now, these days?
The whole major premise of DE is to help individuals find their purpose in life. And there's a term we use called shedding the husks, which essentially is find out what the blocks are inside of you. So, we teach the philosophy, we have programs that teach the art, we have programs that teach the systems, but the Dynamic Essential is finding your spirit within, finding that driving force within that connects you to the universe and your patients and yourself and your family. And if we could get you anchored to yourself and your own purpose and mission in life and help you find peace and harmony, it can help you serve at a higher level, give at a higher level, love at a higher level, and ultimately find success. That's one thing to teach people systems, day one, day two, but now you're working. Now it's just a job. And you see people that do that and they reach a level of success and they can't sustain it because they melt within. They're not happy. They're empty. And DE helps people find their passion, find their purpose, reconnect to their purpose in life, which is essential. You're laying your hands on people day in and day out. You got to be clear within. And, I've seen broken souls, whether it's someone practicing for 30 years or the student coming in, they get connected and their whole life takes off. That's what DE does. And you've got, people will look at the group of us, whether it's a speaker or the group of us, they think, we run it as the leaders. We've got hundreds of leaders within that room that I always say the biggest conversations happen in the hallways and the relationships you make and the cell phones you transfer, that you've got someone by your side 24/7, 365 days a year. There's someone to reach out to that can help you if you're going through a tough time, whether it's marital, personal, practice, questions. There's hundreds of people you can reach out to and say, hey, I need help with this. And if Judson doesn't know the answer, I can send you to Lieberman, Martinez, Amlinger, Paula. There's so many people, layers of people. You've got a mastermind group that's got 1,000 years of knowledge. It's amazing.
Yeah. And I got to tell you, I so agree. As someone who grew up in chiropractic programs of all kinds, I love hearing top-notch presentations, but some of the most valuable things were the conversations, that happen outside of the lecture room, for sure.
Right.
Over the
Right.
years, and the relationships that you have that
Yeah.
form or have been, that community aspect is so vital. So now tell us about your book and your podcast, Wake Up Humans.
So Wake Up Humans came about, after I would go speak somewhere, there was always the people that would come up afterward and say, you need to write a book. And, who has time to write a book? I didn't know what I was getting into. And, how do you write a book? And one of my buddies I became friends with, he was actually a graduate from Sherman. He said, I want to introduce you to my college roommate, and he's a publisher. And he could show you the path. He goes, I think you really need to write a book. So that opened a can of worms, and we connected, and we just got to work. And through that process, Wake Up Humans was book number 1. And halfway through, he said, look, we got a problem. You have a second book here, and that's Atlas Adjusted, which broke off to, specifically students and doctors. And now we're writing a third book called The Backpack. So, it's been an amazing journey, and it's just been the outcome of it is, why write a book? I woke up this morning and a guy sent me a picture of this woman. She said, hey, I'm reading a great chiropractic book. And it was her holding my book, Wake Up Humans. And she found it on Amazon. And now she's got his whole family going to this guy. And it was like, I had no part of this woman getting that book, but it fell into her hands through a Google search. And I'm like, all right, this is really cool. Now she's learning about chiropractic, what I feel is the right way to learn about chiropractic, right? The principle, pretty hardcore, simplify, and it's just a beautiful experience.
And you never know how far reaching, right?
Yeah, man, exactly.
That's beautiful. That's awesome. I love that. So now the art of chiropractic, as you know, this year we decided that with all that's gone on in the world, my choice is this. I said, I can jump up and down about all that's going on in the world that I may not agree with. Okay.
Right.
Or I can take care of the people and love them up. And I said, what? I'm going to focus on just serving the people that are coming to take care of me. So I keep my focus and my spirit and my being clear of what my mission is. I said, we're going to focus mile high in the art, because look, we all have to be better around the tables. So, and maybe more so with what's gone on in the world the past little bit, right? So, and us all be focused. When you think of the art of chiropractic, what makes the art of chiropractic unique compared to other healing arts?
Well, it's relying on the body to do the healing. It's probably one of the only healing arts that I know of that doesn't take the credit for the body healing. I think, we put the gift into the universe. Some people have called it God, the innate within you, where many doctors are the ones, the professions taking the right for it. And I think that's when human beings, the lay people, the patients understand that the healing comes from them and not the doctor. That's when they wake up. That's when they get empowered and they change their entire life. So that's really one of the biggest things that really separates chiropractic from every profession out there in the healthcare system.
Yeah, absolutely. And that area of not taking credit for what happens and who actually does the adjustment, that you're realizing that innate is in charge, not you, right?
Correct.
So, and making the change. So then for the art of chiropractic, tell us a little bit about where you landed in terms of the art of chiropractic and your focus. Because that's a big picture. The art of chiropractic can be, there's many different perspectives.
Yeah. So like I was talking about earlier, Michael Kale changed my life when I heard him speak. I followed him out in the hallway. He adjusted me. I went home for 18 hours and I was never the same again. I woke up saying, I need to learn this. So I rode his coattails for, about 6 years, trained with him, taught with him, just did whatever I could. I traveled with him, went on mission trip with him. And just soaked it all up. And it was just, for me, I was very dogmatic at the time. It was knee, chest, or it was nothing. It was, if you did anything else, it was wrong. You were a mixer. I mean, it was, I'm a lot more mature now, Danny. But that was my thing. But I'm grateful for that because I understand the power of the upper cervical and how powerful it is. But I also am mature enough to know that there's other ways to adjust an atlas, and make sure it's clear. And people need different ways. I'm not going to put everybody on a knee chest table. There's people that can't do it. And, I used to talk to Heath Quigley when he was alive, and a lot of the people in Clearview Sanitarium were getting toggle. These people were in straitjackets. They couldn't kneel them down. And, there was chiropractors who would tell me that's a lie. That's not true. I'm like, well, he ran the clinic. Why would he lie to me? It's because they were trying to defend a system instead of, let's just talk about the principle. Let's just talk about the principle we're talking about, which is getting the atlas to hold. However you're going to do it. I don't care how you do it, but then you know when to and when not to adjust it, and having a sustainable system that's reproducible in your office to maintain a clear atlas, period.
I'm glad you used the word mature, because I've gone through my dogmatic phase as well. I think that, chiropractic breeds that a little bit. And then there's a place of, embracing more love and more openness and growing up a little bit. Right. So and I've gone through that where I was like, well, if you're not doing the way I adjust people, then you're wrong, versus that.
Right.
Then you grow from that and say, hey, if we do that and we throw rocks like that, we're not going to get anywhere as a profession. Right.
100%.
So you grow up from that a little bit. And I've gone through my own path of that. So now here's the thing. When you think about the art of chiropractic, this was another impetus. What you just said about adjusting atlas and having a system for it, what I heard and what came through my filter is that aspect of, hey, I'm just not racking and cracking people. I have a system and I'm analyzing the spine, and I want to deliver clinically excellent care because that person deserves that, right? And so sometimes when I see what's being taught in chiropractic colleges and I see the lack of clinical excellence in terms of the subluxation and analysis, that really, I get perturbed, I'll say, right? Yeah. So, and I know you see that at times too. So what do you think is important for people to know to grow their clinical excellence in whatever approach they're doing?
Well, you gotta hang out with people that are clinically excellent. You gotta, these guys, they're learning from people that have been practiced 2 to 3 years, right? Because they could put some good social media posts out and they make themselves look like a stud or studette. And now they're putting on a seminar. They're making money on the side. They've got people that are just trying to learn, and they're learning from someone who has no experience. They literally just graduated school. Find me someone who's been in practice, taking care of thousands of people, had their hands on thousands of people, made hundreds of mistakes. I'm going to go to that guy or girl, and I'm going to learn a lot faster and avoid their mistakes.
Love
right.
It.
So, one of the biggest mistakes we've allowed is we've allowed these, people feed off our profession, and that's one of our biggest drives with DE is not to feed off the profession, but to give.
Yeah.
And we need more of that. And there's brilliant minds. I've spoken at enough of these big seminars, and I've met amazing people that I probably never would have met. And you think they're one person, and I know people think I'm one person, and then they get in front of me and meet me, and they're like, wow, you're a nice guy. Wow, you're like, I thought you'd be different. And I'm like, there's so many of us that are on the same page. It's like, let's just do it, man. Let's do it once and for all, and do it for the profession, because these kids need it. I mean, the kids are the future. And there's so many people that own the art but have been doing it for 20, 30 years that we could share that with them, and we have to. We really have to.
And I love that. And I love that about you. And I ask that because I know you have those values. And that's why we put together this program, because I see that where you see people that, hey, they, just got out of school and already doing a program teaching people. And I was like, well, they didn't actually practice, or stuff like that. And, and I have a tremendous respect. That's why I still practice. And I know you still practice and put that energy in. So right. Here you are, practice, running DE, or coordinating or being part of that. Third book on the way, and we got 5 kids. Did I get that right? 5 kids.
Correct.
So you're pretty busy. What fuels and drives that?
I'm halfway through my life, and I want to, I want to give as much as I physically and spiritually can, and maintain my health and not ruin my kids along the way. It's one of the biggest things I learned from some of the past people is they put it all into chiropractic and they lost their family. So I think one of the greatest things for us is finding that balance, maintaining that balance, between God, family, chiropractic, and not just saying it, but meaning it. But how can I look at this profession, and I can honestly say my personal beliefs is if we've done a really bad job. We've failed. And COVID has proven that, because we weren't allowed to use, we boost immunity and we help immunity. Like, we're not allowed to say that. And yet we know it's damn true. My kids aren't sick all the time or ever because they live clear.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And
Right.
they live hard. I mean, they're national athletes. They're intense, but they have a clear atlas. So the outcome is they're a lot healthier than most kids, unless they're coming to our office. Right. So we have to be able to really educate the communities, society, the country the right way now, and really stand firm for what it is we do, so that we can speak with freedom and not be afraid about a physical therapist calling us out on social media and we're going to get sued over it, and knowing it's all BS. So we got to get the brilliant minds to come together once and for all and say, we got to work together on educating across the country, around the world, whatever you want to say, properly to show what it is the body's enabled to do when it's living clear. We could reach that outcome. We will change the entire healthcare system. We're not going to be worried about, the next cannabis thing. We're just worried about living clear with an atlas, and all else follows.
I so agree. And I feel like a kindred spirit, because I have so much, when I look around the profession, I also feel that, like, well, we've not hit the mark, and it's part of what drives me to give more, is because I see where it was and the promise of chiropractic, and I'm like, man, we haven't hit it, and we have to do better as a team, as a profession, and otherwise it's the world's loss and it's humanity's loss. It's not us that's losing.
I think one of the big gut checks for us all to take, Danny, is one of my favorite songs right now is Zach Brown singing that song "From Now On." From that,
yeah.
You listen to the words, right? And I saw a piece of this trying to creep into my life, and I've seen it creep into others' lives. Once the bright lights go on you and you start becoming recognized, people start, giving you the fluff. People change, right? And instead of serving the profession, we start to serve ourselves. It becomes about me, right, and not about us, which has been one of our biggest drives. If you say one of the biggest shifts we've seen in DE is it's not about Steve Judson trying to be the next big leader and big shot. It's all of us, because, I'm a human being. There's things I suck at. I'm going to have bad days. I'm going to say stupid things. I'm going to have to apologize. I'm human just like you.
Right.
But if I'm having a bad day, I've got my buddies and the other people to step up next to me together to help rise us up, to be like, what's the ultimate mission? And that's what we got to come to, whether you're going to DE, Mile High, Cal Jam, all these things. It shouldn't be a program. Again, people say, well, you're a DE guy. I'm a chiropractor who got my life through DE. It's like saying, well, you're a white guy. No, I'm a freaking human being. I'm a spiritual experience. Like, let's cut through the language and come together for the greater good. What is that greater good? Because if now Wake Up Humans becomes about Steve Judson making a name for himself, and the podcast becoming like, look at me, look at Judson. I don't want that.
Right.
I'm doing the podcast to reach the people. I did the book to reach the people. I'm tired of speaking to the chiropractors and then we just speak to each other. We need to get to the people. We need to get people come,
Right. And it's to give more and to serve more and impact the planet. Right.
Yes.
Yes. And you're right. We have so often you see that miss the mark, sadly, unfortunately, and that has to change. Otherwise, it's going to be, well, where are we going to be? Now, you said to me your favorite quote: "Love life, and life will love you back." Can you say something about why you like that?
I mean, I have the word life tattooed on my hand, right? And I was going through a challenging time in my life, and I'm like, well, what am I putting my faith in? Like, God gave me this life, and if I got faith, all else follows. And I'm anchored to that. And I just got to fall in love with that experience. Like one of the meditations, because at one point I really didn't know what love was. And through one of my meditations, it was life's only vital experience. So the only thing that's really vital for me is my expression of life right now, because someday that expression's shut off. It's done. Right. So you love life. And if you love life and you're living with passion and you're making the proper choices, life's going to love you back. The result's going to be amazing. The outcome is going to be abundance and happiness and joy and love. I mean, and it flushes out all the opposites of those words. Yeah. So you just got to love it and put your energy into it, and it's going to feed you back abundantly.
Yep. What 1,000%. Now, in terms of your next book, can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So, from my experience dealing with myself, dealing with thousands of patients, dealing with thousands of chiropractors, the only thing that is blocking people from expressing their full potential in life is their limiting beliefs, their experiences, and their emotions that are weighing them down. So I always had this vision of, we come into this world with an empty backpack, and, your parents teach you how to think, or you see your parents react to situations, and that puts an emotional rock in your backpack. And then you have a situation, a trauma, something happened, and that puts a rock in your backpack. And all of a sudden you end up with all these rocks in your backpack, and you're trying to float through life carrying around all this garbage on your back. And sometimes people don't know why, and it's slowing them down. They can't be abundant. They can't be happy because they're just dragging this garbage with them. So it really came to me, and this came from me having to do this with myself, is pulling those proverbial rocks out, those emotions, those experiences, and facing them head on, and allowing yourself to heal, allowing yourself to forgive, sometimes forgiving the other person, forgiving yourself, and then just carry on, and knowing those rocks never disappear. They're always there. Like, they're coming back. You could be having a great day, hear a song on the radio, and that emotion pops back up, but you got to own it and be like, yeah, there you are, brother. I see you, but go back on the shelf. I'm not putting you back in my backpack because I'm floating now. I'm floating. So I'm calling it the backpack because I really feel it. People could simplify that. And it was cool. I was going on a run this morning at 5 a.m, and a whole concept dropped in. So I went ahead and I spoke it into my phone, sent it to the publisher. And it really comes to like how our parents showed us the way when we were young, when we were little. And people get angry at their parents. Well, it's not their fault. They probably learned that from their parents. And if we carry it on to our children, we're just passing on the same garbage, throwing the same rocks into our kids' backpack. So how do we not do that? And how do we do it better? And that's been thousands of hours of conversations I have had with amazing people. What makes them great? What have they done well? Why are they so happy? Why are you so freaking happy? And how do you do this? And I just compiled all that into myself. And I'm nowhere near perfect, bro, but I think I'm doing a pretty good job right now.
I think you can also put an analogy or bring that together with living clear.
Exactly. And it's all about living clear. You can adjust people all you want to the cows come home. But if if they got a lot of emotional baggage, man, that subluxation pattern is still going to pop up.
Right.
And I'm doing them an injustice if I don't help them break that pattern and recognize, listen, you got to do some work on your own. Like, now that you're clearing out and you're waking up, and people wake up in my office, they get emotional. I got, tissue boxes everywhere. We just had a mom in the office just crying because, her daughter comes in with back pain, but the kid's an emotional wreck, anxiety, depression. And we pulled it all out in one simple conversation. The mom was like, oh my God, I think God sent you for a reason. Yeah, he did. We're going to wake your daughter up. Her whole life's going to change. Your whole family's going to get under care. Your whole family's going to heal. And your whole life is completely different right now. Boom. People say, how do you get patients in your office? Just like that.
Right.
People need it.
Well, but here's the thing. When you own that in your being, that certainty is transferred to that prospective patient or that family. When you don't own that, you don't transfer that certainty the same way.
100%.
Right. So, and that's a big, that's your practice building thing more than your day 1, day 2, day 3.
Amen.
So
don't you love that question? Don't you love that question? Hey, what's your day 1? What do you say on day 2? It's like, I don't know. Who's the person sitting in front of me? right? A better question is, what's your outcome on day one? What's your outcome on day two? But the conversation could take on 10 different avenues depending upon the personality type, the person, their emotions, what's going on. You know, like we got to go deeper with it. And I know, you know, network people are deep people, right? You're looking at a bigger vibration, a bigger spiritual cause, we got to look at that, man, because of all the oscillations happening in life. What's stopping people's expression? And it's all in here, man.
Right. Right. And you always have to know your objective and your outcome in your consult, and you're around the table. Like, why am I doing this? Why am I here? Why are they here? And what outcome am I going for? Because otherwise you're just dancing around the table, you know, who knows what you're doing.
Exactly.
You know, so who are some of the people that really most influenced you as a chiropractor and helped you be the great chiropractor that you are?
So right away, the top names that come to my mind are Dr. Sid, Jim Sigafus, Michael Kale. 100% the top three. Then you got Irene Gold, who I would never have passed boards without that woman. She's an absolute powerhouse. And then you got people like the quiet ones, like Paula Hedgelon, who was just like this silent little like Dr. Ruth in my life, who just was powerful. And then there's just layers of people that I've developed relationships. But, you know, those are the big ones. You got Dick Santo, who he gave the Band of Brothers talk that just rocked me. You know, amazing. Reggie Gold, you know, his whole chemistry of life. And, you know, we've been so blessed, and, you know, we should just appreciate them all and just not jump into one camp, but realize the innate that was speaking through them and their message is coming through all of us. And now we all need to start speaking that truth instead of just throwing it all on them. You know, well, this guy did this and he always said this. Well, that's cool. But now how are you saying it? And are you saying it? That's the place we got to get to.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, there's something that I say that I say it to myself, and I say it other times when I'm teaching. And I don't know why this is popping up for me to ask you this, but I say to people, you know, don't just see the chiropractic profession as it is right now, but how you envision it being, how you envision chiropractic impacting the world. And because you can go downwards of like, well, the chiropractic profession is doing this. Like, well, if you focus on that, we got to focus on where it's going to be 5 years, 10 years. How would you envision chiropractic?
I want every human being to understand what the Atlas is. You know, I always have this vision of someone checking out at the cash register at Publix, and the cashier's ringing them in, and the mother that's, you know, putting her stuff on the conveyor belt just doesn't look right. And the young girl looks at her and says, "Are you okay?" And the woman goes, "No." And the young girl says, "How's your Atlas? Have you had your Atlas checked?" And then she's like, "Well, no." "Well, go. You need to go do that." Like that term, "How's your Atlas?" If people could understand the magnitude of what that means and what it means to live with a clear Atlas, it'll change the entire profession. We won't have enough chiropractors, right? And chiropractors will have to master the art. They're not just going to be taking necks and twisting them, right? Because people are going to want to know, hey, am I clear? Or am I not clear? Or, hey, why are you cracking it every single time I lay on the table? You do the same thing. I'm sure you've heard this.
Yeah.
You know, they go these other, you know, just, hey, they do the same. Well, listen, if we're really tied into this innate thing, at some point, innate's got to wake its stats up. It's doing its job. You don't need an adjustment today, or your Atlas is holding, and you're doing amazing. Your body's doing the work, and now they're empowered. Mm-hmm. And when they're empowered, forget about it. And we just got to really work. How's your Atlas? How's your Atlas?
Yep. Yeah. 1,000%. 1,000%. I love it. How do people connect? How do people grab your book, and how do they connect with your podcast?
So the podcast is everywhere, you know, like iTunes and Spotify, all those kind of things. We just created a website, wakeuphumans.org. Wakeuphumans.org has all the links to everything. We now have a Shopify account with, you know, people wanted swag, man, shirts, sweatshirts, all that stuff. It's gotten absolutely insane, but it's fun, which is good because it spreads the word. Chiropractors now are buying the book in bulk, and they're giving it to their patients to educate them. The cheapest way to do that is is connect with us through the website, because I can give you a better deal, because Amazon has the book, but there's no deals. So we do, I got a girl, Michelle, who does all that for me. And she, we give the book away at like bulk orders, that's been really cool to see. That's especially during COVID, that literally humbly has saved a lot of practices, because it educated people and really woke them up to the purpose and principle. We got offices that I still haven't met these people that tripled their practice by handing out the book to every new patient they give the book to. And it's really helped them, that's been really cool to see.
That's amazing. That's exciting. It's for people, as you said, learning about chiropractic the right way, which is they have a why do I go see them, and understand chiropractic, say, hey, I want to get myself checked.
Yes.
So that's amazing. Well, I got to tell you, we are excited to have you come out at Mile High. If people haven't reserved for Mile High, you want to grab your seats. What are you excited to share at Mile High?
I've been hearing about it, you know what I mean? And you're a cool cat. And I know you've been through some stuff over the years. So I want to support you, because you keep plugging, you keep supporting the profession. You got a good spirit, man. So I want to be there and get around your people. There's probably a lot of people I've never met before. So it's always nice to get into that new energy and just share and soak it up. And I think we just got to keep getting into each other's camps, man. Just get around each other. Which is going to help the profession. It's going to help us be better, quote unquote, leaders, better kinships, that we can work together to really, shift the outcome, so we could pass this thing on, man, because time's ticking.
I said, I'm glad you say that. Last year at Mile High, I had the focus of my talk was something I said, camps are killing chiropractic. In that people are just being in different camps, and then focusing on building the camp rather than, hey, we got to focus on chiropractic as a whole, rather than, oh, it's my cool camp that I like, but not, lifting chiropractic up, It's really important. So how do people plug into DE? Let's tell people that too.
So you go to lifede.com. Lifede.com has all the upcoming dates. They could always, reach out to me. Our next meeting is in August. I think it's August 12th, that weekend in Atlanta.
Okay.
And it's, lifede.com has all the information. And, of course, they could always reach out with questions to me or any one of us that's involved in it. Brian Lieberman, Drew Henderson, Eddie Martinez. I mean, there's a whole bunch.
And we'll put all that in the notes with this, so people have the links so they can register for DE. They can find out about your podcast and book. We'll put that all in with the podcast. So if you're driving, don't cause any subluxations. Just you'll get it in there. Don't stop and try to write.
Yeah.
So we're psyched to have you out. And hey, everybody listening around the world, one, make sure you hit subscribe so you never miss any Mile High Tick. And number two, rise up, and we'll see you in September. Rise up to milehigh.com and keep changing spines and lives and minds with chiropractic. Dr. Judson, we're grateful to have you there. And thank you for all that you are doing and giving to chiropractic.